and it just disappears when you hit the thing. I do agree with that. So let's talk about from the investment perspective. You've been taking a look at some of these other properties. That duplex, I had sent out that duplex in Jeffersonville, East Norton, as a potential short-term rental.
Okay. The one on Mill?
Yeah, so I sent that to an investor, and I said, hey, this might be something worth looking at, because it's a home with an. So I thought from a short-term rental corporate furnished, that actually might not be bad, because you've got 2 properties on one, plus it's on an acre and a half. Do you know if that property's got any tenants in it right now?
I don't think it does. I don't know that they notated that in the listing that it actively has tenants in it. So I think it might be open.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about, here's a good one for you. Should you turn a short-term rental on a twin? Well, that's a good question, Kyle.
Yeah, so that actually is a really good question. So from an investor's perspective, you kind of think about it like, okay, from an LTR perspective, that's fantastic, right? When it comes to maintenance, you're in the same place. It's all underneath the same unit. But from an STR perspective, an investor might have the same inkling, but keep in mind, what type of sound barrier do you have between these 2 properties, right? So STR is all about guest experience. So if you are going to put somebody in an upper level and somebody in a lower level, how noisy are they going to be? Is that upstairs? Is it a young family, little kids running around? Downstairs, maybe you have an older couple who goes to bed at 9 o'clock. They're looking for some more peace and quiet, and they just hear the sound of feet stampeding above them. Like, that's not an ideal situation. We've actually experienced that with some of our properties. We do have one duplex that's configured for an STR for a top and a bottom, and we've already had those instances.
Is it one long-term, one short-term? Are they both short-term?
They're both short-term. Yeah.
Okay, so you could have a situation where one short-term rental guest is annoying another short-term rental guest.
Yeah, sometimes they don't get along. Absolutely. Actually, one time we had a guest who claimed that the first floor guest sent them a nasty letter. Whether or not that happened or not, we had no proof of it, but they claimed that they did.
The always thing is, in this day and age, we've got cameras and video. We can do everything with anything. And someone will say, hey, this happened. Great. Do you have a picture of it? I don't. It's like, how did you not get a picture of this day and age? So I'm going to share this this screen. Hopefully this will show. Yeah, this was a property that you had said that this is the kind of thing that we would normally send out to an investor. It's in an area that's got very strong air DNA numbers. And you might say, Chris, what do you think? Look at all this wallpaper. I mean, honestly, I actually love this. It reminds me of my childhood in the 80s. But from a perspective for a furnished corporate rental, this is actually a nice property. Did you think about would you keep the wallpaper in this property?
So
I'm going to feel silly if I said I love it and you're like, you got to get rid of it.
I'm not the best person to ask when it comes to that, because I don't think outside of the box with design. I just don't. But I do know that a lot of guests like uniqueness, right? And there's definitely, you're going to have that older, historical, unique vibe to this place. And I think that's going to attract a lot of different people, because at the end of the day, they don't want more of the same of what they're accustomed to at their house, right? They don't want their off shades of white, their neutral grays. They want something different, something unique. They want to feel an experience. And I think they're going to get that at a place like this. There's a lot of history in the building. I think it was built in the 1800s.
Yep. It's an historical area. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a unique property, but its charm, I think, would make this a lovely, lovely Airbnb. And this was brought to my attention as a possible investment, Kyle. But the very first thing I thought was, but it's a twin, which means that you have to put yourself in the perspective of the person living next door? Are they going to be helping us or hurting us? Are they going to increase our guest experience, or are they going to be part of the reason people are like, lovely home, but the neighbors are a nightmare kind of thing? So, you want to be good. You want to be good neighbors.
Yeah. So I will say we do have, some townhomes in our portfolio, and, most of the time we don't have issues. Some of our townhouse communities, we have longstanding tenants, right? Or owners. And then right next door, we have our STR, and knock on wood, in one of the developments, we have not had a single complaint.
Now, just to verify, Kyle, what you're talking about is the one rare townhome that we have is a short-term rental in a non-HOA development.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point. So usually townhouses are off the table from a short-term rental perspective because of that HOA requirement, but this particular one doesn't have any restrictions.
So, and I'm looking at this property, and it's kind of split off the back, and because of the growth, you probably could get enough privacy away, but twins are tough, and they're literally right up in your business. There's really no way around it. But it's interesting because you said we were doing it at this other townhome, and it seems to have been working. So maybe it really also just comes down to pricing and guest experience, right? I mean, how do I say this the right way? When you try to put out the cheapest product, do you get the best experience or the best guests?
Right. Well, you got to think of it like, again, like our market is different. When a lot of people think VRBO, Airbnb, they think vacation, right? They think Poconos, they think, a shore home, things of that nature. We're in a different game, right? We are attracting families, people who are coming in to visit family. They're coming in because they're traveling for work. They're coming in to see a specific event. And at the end of the day, even if it isn't a townhouse or a twin, are you getting more privacy than a hotel? Right? In most cases,
yeah,
you are. So I think people are willing to make that sacrifice. We have 3 instances of it, right? We have a duplex and we have 2 townhouses. I would say, again, 90% of the time, no issues. Every once in a while, like, hey, there's this dog that's barking constantly. What can you do about it? And again, you put on your customer service cap and you find a solution for it.
And the thing that I love, the thing that I do love about tenant or guest resolution for short-term is it's just that, it's short-term. So if there's a problem, usually it goes away fairly quickly. If we have a neighbor who is sensitive to dogs, maybe we think about that in the future for hey, no noisy dogs if you're going to bring a pet. Like, there's things you can do. Whereas when you're in long-term, and believe me, there are space for everywhere. I'm a proponent of all kinds of management and investment. One of the benefits for long-term is that you get a more consistent, steady paycheck. One of the negatives is if you catch the proverbial hanger, as we say in poker, then you're stuck with that tenant until the end of the lease, or you take them through the courts for possession if you want them actually out of the property. And so, one of the things with almost 2 years in the business, I will say for short-term rental is it's just that. It's usually long periods of quiet with all of a sudden like bursts of activity because something's going wrong. Now, those bursts of activity might happen a little bit more often in the short-term rental management than it does for our long-term. But for the most part, if we are marketing properly, priced correctly, and we've got the right types of guests, what I mean is people are willing to pay a premium to stay at nicer quality properties, invariably we're finding that 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10 are good people. They come just like most people do. They go, they spend a night in a hotel room, and they go home. Every once in a while, you've got someone who comes in, they trash a hotel room. It happens. No one's getting out of the proverbial, no one's getting out of this risk-free.
No, I will say we have never had that happen with our short-term rentals yet. We have yet to have somebody be destructive to our properties. Have we had accidents? Absolutely. We actually had, at one of our longest standing properties, we have bidets at this property. It's a nicer single home. It's large. It's a little bit more upscale in our portfolio. Bidets. Some of the kids got excited. They went into the bathroom. They're like, oh, wow, what's this? They think it's a toy. They start playing with it. Then what happens? Well, the adults are downstairs in the kitchen, and suddenly water dripping out of the ceiling. What's going on? Well, the kids flooded out the bathroom
Oh
with the
boy.
bidet. So, they went up the steps really quick. They dried everything out as quickly as they could. And, as soon as they checked out, we had a contractor out there to fix it. We had to pull the tape from the drywall, ceiling, repatch it, and paint it. Accidents happen.
Accidents happen, and boy, I tell you, they really do. But I think people hear the nightmare stories, and I think that's what really gets everyone. It's like, oh, it can't possibly work because one person had a problem with it. So we were HOA operators, and one of the board members of this HOA managed had got into a group investment to buy a property down in Brigantine. Now, this person was soured on partnerships now. He was soured on real estate. He was soured on vacation rentals. He was like, that's it. I'm buying a vacation place, and only my family's going to use it. We're never renting it out. And I can't blame him for feeling this way after the fact, Kyle. But it wasn't that that real estate investment was the problem. And it's not that working by a beach town was a problem. And it's not that working with a syndication was the problem. What the problem was, he got in with the wrong group who didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't have proper systems in place, whether self-managed or exterior managed. So the story goes like this. They've got a property down in Brigantine. The proverbial VRBO or booking or whatever, I forget how they got it, rented the place out. It turned out that it was a couple of pimps from New York, and they filled the house with prostitutes.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're basically running a brothel in a property that they've now rented, and the owner can't get them out because they've been there for 30 days.
Well, I mean, that is always a big risk. With SDRs, you got to try to stay underneath the magic 30-day number.
Well, it's easier. My point is, like, regardless of whether it had been a short term that they overstayed, and we see this. I think what it was, if I remember deep in my brain, it was like they did a short term rental, then booked it for like another week, and they're like, hey, this is working out, and then all of a sudden they got over the 30 days, and that's when all hell broke loose. And it took them, I think, like 6 or 9 months to get and they had destroyed the place. And, it's if you go all the way back to the very first step, what was the real problem? The real problem was they just didn't do their vetting of who was in their property. It wasn't all those other things that were the problem. It's that they weren't doing the initial job.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that you can't catch a hanger. It doesn't mean that someone can't get through on the system, and that could be anywhere, right? I mean, you could be going about your business one day, and all of a sudden a mob of kids run in and they rob your place blind.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the news. That happens. So that's life. So no one's guaranteed to be protected from that. But, when it comes to short-term rentals, one of the benefits is, first of all, if we started to see something like that, that's going to be a red flag. So the benefit for short-term rentals, there's two benefits right now. One, the government in 2024 is finally realizing that squatters and squatters' rights are a real problem, and it's really affecting homeowners and homeownership in this country. And so they're taking steps to get people out who are committing crimes. And, I forget where I was going with the second one. I totally lost my train of thought. So it's the only negative when everyone else is in the other room. I keep hearing voices from the other room, and it just distracts me. That's the excuse I'm going to use today, Kyle.
Yeah, I can't help you. Trying to read your mind.
Sorry. There it goes. And then the second benefit for short-term rentals right now is that because it's less than 30 days, it's like a hotel. So if someone's causing a problem, you just trespass them off the property and get them off. You can call the police and have someone off of your property who's been there less than 30 days because it's more of a hotel type stay.
Right.
So there are some benefits to that. There's pros and cons. So
yeah.
On one last note, and we'll leave it at that, though, I want to know why. Here, I'm going to look it up so we can share it on the screen because this is a good topic. I'm hoping it's still on the market and does not appear to me that it is under contract. Yeah.
Wow.
Do you recognize it?
That looks like the house from Home Alone.
That's
maybe?
it, Kevin.
Yeah.
So here I am. I'm the asshole. I'm the guy who's like, I hate it. They completely upgraded it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I hate it. What I'm saying is I really, oh my God, look, you can see like this didn't exist back then. And if you notice, he could not have gone out the door the way he did because of the angle, but that's a little Hollywood trickery there. I would have turned this in. I mean, I know you probably can't, but I would have loved to have turned this into the Home Alone house and put it all back to where it was.
To where it was. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And then
nostalgia.
Yeah, man. The Airbnb for something like this would have been through the charts. I would have spent. I'm only going fast because none of this really means anything. You can't really tell, but I want to show you like this house is pretty freaking. Yeah, look, they changed that because remember those were at the end of the hallway. See, that's the thing is I can't even tell like the way it was designed, like how much of it was sets. Because if you remember, he went up the stairs at the end of the hallway. So
I do, yeah, where the attic bedroom was.
Yeah, we're such nerds. But look at the basement. You know what? There it is. Look at this.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, what do you got? Like, so that's not a basement. That's a basement.
That's what it said.
That's the deepest basement I've ever seen. I mean, are those nets set at 10 feet? So that's like a 20-foot basement. They got 20-foot ceilings in their basement.
That's great. Home Alone. I don't know. Staying there and it not being the Home Alone house, it just doesn't have the same feel for me.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. Nice little hot tub back there.
Oh, and then where's the basement steps? You filthy animal.
Yeah. Wow. What was that?
$5 million. $5.25 million.
Wow.
And then it's 9,000 square feet. I wonder if it says anything like, no, you cannot turn this into Airbnb. Yeah. Here it is. Here's the biggest surprise: an incredible state-of-the-art indoor sports court. Yeah, descend to the lower level for the ultimate wow factor. Here you'll find a fully equipped gym, recreation, full bath, wet bar, state-of-the-art roof here, and of course the incredible state-of-the-art indoor sports court. Holy crow, man! What are you gonna do? So, anyways, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So, all right. On that note, that's it. Unique. The thing is, everyone thinks that Airbnbs have to be unique, totally special properties. I realize short-term rentals can be as simply as a nice, clean home with nice furniture as a corporate short-term rental. So if you have any interest in turning your property into a corporate short-term rental, contact us at the information below and schedule an appointment. We'll find out if we can make you gobs and gobs of cash with your property.